The morning started like every other morning in Sofia Reyes's life. Too early, too rushed, and with too many things that could go wrong. She stood in the cramped kitchen of her studio apartment on Chicago's South Side, packing Marcus's lunch with hands that moved on autopilot. Peanut butter sandwich, apple slices, juice box. The same lunch every day because routine was everything for Marcus. Change meant meltdowns, and meltdowns meant she'd be late to work, and being late meant losing jobs she couldn't afford to lose. "Marcus, baby, shoes," she called toward the living room where her 8-year-old son sat cross-legged on the floor, his sketch pad balanced on his knees. He didn't look up, didn't acknowledge her voice. His pencil moved in rapid, precise strokes across the paper, capturing something only he could see. Sophia checked her phone. 7:15. Mrs. Patterson's house in Lincoln Park at 8. Then the Steinberg condo in River North at 11. Then the agency had added a last-minute job, some penthouse in the Gold Coast at 2. 3 houses, 3 different wealthy families, 3 different sets of expectations. All before she had to pick Marcus up from the special needs program at 4:30. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Her phone buzzed. A text from the agency. "Client for 2 p.m. job won't be home. Key under mat. 3-hour deep clean. $200 cash. $200. That was nearly half her rent. Sophia's chest loosened slightly. Maybe this month she could actually pay the electric bill on time. "Marcus, seriously, shoes, now." This time she walked over, kneeling beside him. His dark curls fell into his eyes as he drew, his brown skin glowing in the weak morning light filtering through their single window. He was beautiful, her son. Perfect in every way that mattered, even if the world didn't always see it that way. She gently touched his shoulder, always gentle, always with warning, because unexpected touch could send him spiraling. He paused, his pencil hovering over the paper, then carefully set it down. Without looking at her, he reached for his shoes. Sophia's heart swelled. These small victories, these moments of connection, they were everything. She glanced at his drawing while he put on his shoes. It was a bird, she thought. No, a building. Or maybe both. Marcus's art existed in a space between literal and abstract, capturing essence rather than simple reality. His therapist said it was how his mind processed the world, in patterns and emotions and details most people overlooked. The drawings covered their walls, taped to every available surface because throwing them away felt like throwing away pieces of Marcus's soul. Faces of people they passed on the street, architectural details of buildings they'd never entered, shadows and light captured in graphite that somehow felt more real than reality itself. "Okay, baby, let's go." She helped him into his jacket, soft fleece, no buttons because buttons were sensory hell, and grabbed both their bags. The sketch pad came too, always. It was Marcus's voice when words failed him, his comfort when the world became too loud, too bright, too much. The train ride to the special needs program took 40 minutes. Marcus sat pressed against the window, his forehead touching the glass, watching the city blur past. Sophia stood beside him, one hand on the pole, the other resting on his shoulder. Protective. Always protective. She dropped him off at 8:30, her heart clenching the way it did every morning. The teachers were good, patient, trained. But leaving him still felt like leaving part of herself behind. Mrs. Patterson's house was spotless as always. The woman created messes just to have someone clean them, Sophia was convinced. But she paid well and on time. So Sophia scrubbed toilets and polished counters and pretended not to notice when Mrs. Patterson's husband watched her ass while she bent over to wipe baseboards. The Steinberg condo was worse. Actual mess, 3 kids under 5, toys and food and chaos everywhere. But Mrs. Steinberg was kind, offered coffee, asked about Marcus. Sofia cleaned for 4 hours instead of 3, and refused the extra money Mrs. Steinberg tried to give her. By 1:30, she was exhausted. Her knees ached, her back screamed. But she had one more job and $200 waiting. The address led her to a building in the Gold Coast that made her stomach clench with inadequacy. Gleaming glass and steel, a doorman in a uniform nicer than her Sunday dress, and a lobby with marble floors that probably cost more than her yearly salary. She gave the doorman the unit number. He made a call, nodded, and directed her to a private elevator that required a key card. "Agency sent one over," he said, handing her a temporary card. "40th floor. Only unit up there." The entire floor. Sofia's hands trembled as the elevator climbed. She'd cleaned for wealthy people before, but this was different. This was money on a level she couldn't comprehend. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that stole her breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan and the Chicago skyline. Modern furniture in blacks and grays, artwork that looked museum quality, and a silence so complete it felt sacred. Everything was clean lines and controlled elegance, beautiful and cold and utterly impersonal. The agency's instructions had been specific. Deep clean kitchen, bathrooms, dust all surfaces, vacuum, mop. 3 hours. Client won't be home. Sofia found the key under the mat as promised, let herself in, and stood for a moment in the vast space, feeling impossibly small. Then she got to work. 2 hours in, she was scrubbing the master bathroom, all marble and chrome, with a shower big enough for 5 people, when her phone rang. Marcus's program. Her heart stopped. "Ms. Reyes? It's Linda. Marcus is fine, but we're closing early. Pipe burst in the building. We need parents to pick up by 3. Sofia checked her watch. 2:45. She was in the Gold Coast. Marcus was on the south side, and she still had an hour of cleaning left. "I can be there by 4, she said, mentally calculating train times. "We really need pickup by 3:15. Insurance doesn't cover." "I understand. I'll be there." She hung up, her chest tight with panic. She'd lose the $200 if she didn't finish. But leaving Marcus waiting, scared, in a building with strange smells and disrupted routine, her son won. He always won. Sofia gathered her supplies quickly, texting the agency an apology and explanation. Then she called the special needs program back. "Actually, can I bring him to me? I'm almost done with a job. Just 30 more minutes. He can sit quietly. I promise." A pause. Linda knew their situation, knew Sofia was drowning. "Okay. But Ms. Reyes, this can't become a pattern." "I know. Thank you. Thank you so much." She gave the address and rushed to finish the bathroom. 15 minutes later, Linda texted that they were in the lobby. Sofia ran to the elevator, punched the button, and waited in the doorway as it climbed. When it opened, Marcus stood beside Linda, his sketchpad clutched to his chest, his eyes fixed on his shoes. "Thank you," Sofia breathed. "I'm so sorry." "It's okay." Linda's smile was tired but genuine. "Good luck, Sofia." The elevator doors closed. Sofia knelt in front of Marcus. "Hey, baby, I'm almost done here. You can sit on that couch." She pointed to a leather sectional. "And draw while Mama finishes. 30 minutes, okay?" Marcus didn't respond, but he walked to the couch when she guided him, settling into the corner with his pad and pencils. He looked impossibly small in the massive space, but calm. Drawing always made him calm. Sofia returned to the bathroom, working as fast as she could while keeping one ear trained on the living room. But Marcus was silent, content, lost in whatever world existed on his paper. 20 minutes later, she finished. The penthouse gleamed. She grabbed her supplies, relief flooding through her. She'd done it. Barely, but she'd done it. Marcus, time to go. He didn't move, still drawing with that intense focus that meant he'd found something important. Sofia walked over, intending to gently redirect him when she saw the paper. Her blood turned to ice. It was a face. A man's face. Rendered in such photographic detail it looked like a black and white photograph. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw, dark eyes that seemed to stare through the paper with calculating intensity. A small scar cut through the left eyebrow. Slight asymmetry to the nose, like it had been broken once. Lips pressed in a line that suggested controlled violence. Every shadow was perfect. Every line exact. The level of detail was impossible for an 8-year-old, but Marcus had always drawn like this, capturing reality with unsettling precision. But this man, this face, Sofia had never seen him before, and more importantly, Marcus had never seen him. He'd been in this penthouse for less than 30 minutes, drawing the entire time. Marcus, who is this? Her voice came out strangled. He didn't answer, just kept shading the area around the eyes, darkening them until they seemed to burn on the page. Sofia's hands shook as she looked around the penthouse. No photos, no personal items, nothing that showed who lived here. The man could be a relative, a photo Marcus had glimpsed somewhere in the apartment. But even as she thought it, she knew it wasn't true. Marcus drew from memory, yes, but only things he'd actually seen. People they'd passed on the street, places they'd been. Never imagination, never invention. His therapist had explained it. Marcus's brain captured and stored visual information differently. What he saw, he could reproduce with perfect accuracy, but he couldn't create from nothing, couldn't draw what he hadn't witnessed. So how had he drawn this face? This specific, detailed, precise face of a man who wasn't in any photos, who wasn't. The elevator dinged. Sofia's heart stopped. The client wasn't supposed to be home. The agency had said. The doors opened and a man stepped into the penthouse. Time fractured into crystalline shards of perfect, terrible clarity. He was the drawing, the exact drawing. Same sharp features, same calculating eyes, same scar bisecting his left eyebrow. He wore an expensive charcoal suit, his dark hair swept back from his face, and he moved with the kind of controlled grace that spoke of violence held carefully in check. His eyes swept the room, landing first on Sofia frozen beside the couch, then on Marcus still drawing, oblivious to the world around him. Then his gaze dropped to the sketch pad. Sofia watched his expression change. Shock flashed across his features, quickly buried under something harder, more dangerous. He crossed the room in 4 strides, his movements predatory, and stopped in front of them. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, controlled, and absolutely terrifying. How? Sofia couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, could only stare at this man whose face her son had drawn without ever seeing him. He reached for the sketch pad. Sofia's body moved on instinct, pulling Marcus behind her, positioning herself between her child and this stranger. Don't touch him. The man's eyes lifted to hers. Dark, dangerous, intelligent eyes that cataloged everything in seconds. She saw him register her fear, her protective stance, the way Marcus pressed against her back, still clutching his pencil. I'm not going to hurt him. His voice carried an accent. Italian, maybe. But I need to understand how he drew my face. He held up the sketch pad, which Sofia realized he'd somehow taken without her noticing. This is me. Perfectly me. Details no one should know. So I'll ask again. How? Sofia's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. The man, Dante. She'd learned his name was Dante Caruso, though right now he was just a terrifying stranger holding her son's drawing. Studied the sketch with an expression she couldn't read. I clean for an agency, Sofia managed, her voice barely steady. They sent me here. I didn't know anyone would be home. My son's program closed early. I had to bring him. He just drew while I finished. He drew this in 30 minutes? Dante's eyes snapped to hers. Less. 20 maybe. He draws fast when he... She stopped, realizing she was babbling. Please, we'll leave. I'm sorry for the intrusion. Just let us go. You think I'm going to hurt you? Not a question. An observation delivered in that unsettlingly calm voice. I don't know what you're going to do. Sofia's arms tightened around Marcus, who had finally gone still, sensing her fear. Dante's expression shifted slightly, something that might have been understanding flickering in his dark eyes. He moved slowly, deliberately, and set the sketch pad on the coffee table before stepping back, hands visible, non-threatening. My name is Dante Caruso. This is my home. And no, I'm not going to hurt either of you. He paused. But I need to understand what I'm looking at. Your son has never been here before? Never. I've cleaned this place 6 times over the past 2 months. Always alone. The agency said the client was never home during service hours. I'm not usually. His eyes returned to the drawing. I have security cameras. I can verify he's never been here. But that doesn't explain this. Sofia's mind raced. Security cameras. Of course a penthouse like this would have security. Which meant he could prove Marcus had never seen him, but also meant there was footage of her bringing her son to a client's home, breaking every agency rule. He's autistic, she said quietly, nonverbal. He processes the world differently, through drawing mostly. He has an incredible visual memory. He can draw things he's seen once, perfectly, months later. But he hasn't seen me. No. Dante was quiet for a long moment, his eyes moving between Sofia, Marcus, and the drawing. She watched him think, saw the calculations happening behind those dark eyes. He was beautiful in a dangerous way, the kind of handsome that came with a warning label. Sharp features, expensive suit that emphasized broad shoulders, and an air of controlled power that made the massive penthouse feel suddenly smaller. What's his name? Dante asked. Marcus. Marcus. Dante crouched down, moving slowly, making himself smaller, less threatening. He was still several feet away, but at eye level now. Marcus, can you look at me? Marcus didn't respond, his face pressed against Sofia's side, his pencil clutched in a white-knuckled grip. He won't, Sofia said. Eye contact is difficult for him, and he doesn't speak. But he draws. Dante's attention returned to the sketch. He draws things that shouldn't be possible. The weight in those words made Sofia's stomach clench. What do you mean? Instead of answering, Dante stood and pulled out his phone, making a call. He spoke in rapid Italian, too fast for Sofia to catch more than fragments. She heard security footage, the boy, and now. When he ended the call, his expression was carefully neutral. My head of security is reviewing the cameras. If your son has never been here, never seen me, then we have a problem. What kind of problem? Sofia's voice came out smaller than she intended. The kind where either your son has abilities I don't understand, or someone sent you here with information they shouldn't have. His eyes pinned her in place. In my world, Miss Reyes. Sofia Reyes. In my world, Sofia, impossible things are usually threats, and I don't react well to threats. The implication hung in the air between them. Sofia felt Marcus trembling against her, picking up on her terror even if he didn't understand the words. We're not a threat, she said, forcing strength into her voice she didn't feel. We're nobody. I clean houses. My son draws. That's it. I don't know why he drew you or how, but we're not dangerous. We're just trying to survive. Something flickered in Dante's expression. Recognition, maybe, or understanding. Before he could respond, the elevator dinged again. A man emerged, built like a tank in an expensive suit, holding a tablet. He crossed to Dante, speaking in low Italian. Dante took the tablet, his eyes scanning whatever was on the screen. Sofia watched his jaw tighten, watched something shift in his expression. "Show me," he said in English, turning the tablet toward her. The screen showed security footage, split into multiple angles. She saw herself entering the penthouse 2 hours ago, cleaning, working efficiently through rooms. Then the timestamp jumped forward. Marcus entering with the program director. Marcus sitting on the couch. Marcus drawing. Dante swiped through multiple camera angles. Every room Marcus could have seen from his position. No photos. No mirrors. No possible way he could have glimpsed Dante's face. "He drew this without reference," Dante said quietly. "Without ever seeing me. That's what you're telling me." "Yes." Sofia's voice cracked. "Then how?" "I don't know." Tears burned in her eyes. "I don't know." Marcus sees things differently. His therapist says his brain processes visual information in ways we don't understand. Sometimes he draws places we've never been, faces of people we passed months ago that I don't even remember. But he's never drawn someone he hasn't seen. Never. Dante was quiet, studying Marcus with an intensity that made Sofia's protective instincts scream. "Boss," the other man said in Italian, "this is impossible. The boy is either a threat or..." "Or what, Luca?" Dante's voice was sharp. "Or something else. Something we don't understand." Luca's expression was grim. "Either way, we can't let them leave until we know which." Sofia's blood ran cold. "You can't keep us here. I have rights. My son has rights. In a perfect world, yes." Dante's eyes met hers, and she saw something almost apologetic in them. "But this isn't a perfect world, Sofia, and I can't risk you or your son being what you appear to be. Innocent. Only to discover later that you're connected to people who want me dead." "We're not connected to anyone. I barely make rent. I work 3 jobs. I don't know anything about your world or your enemies or..." She stopped, realization dawning. "You're not just wealthy. You're something else. Something dangerous." "Yes." He didn't deny it, didn't soften it. "I'm something very dangerous. Which is why I need to be certain you're not a threat before I let you walk out of here with information you shouldn't have." "What information? A drawing?" "A drawing of my face, perfectly rendered, created by a child who's never seen me." "Do you understand how that looks, Sofia? In my line of work, that kind of impossible accuracy suggests surveillance, intelligence gathering, preparation for..." He stopped himself. "It suggests things I can't ignore." Sofia's mind raced. She was trapped in a penthouse with a man who was clearly involved in something illegal, probably violent, definitely dangerous. A man who thought she and Marcus might be threats. A man who had the power and resources to make them disappear. "Please," she whispered. "He's just a little boy. He doesn't understand any of this. Whatever you think we are, we're not. We're just trying to survive." Dante studied her for a long moment. Then he spoke to Luca in Italian. "Run a full background check. Everything. Employment, finances, family, associates, medical records. I want to know if she's ever been within a mile of any of our enemies." "Already started," Luca replied. "Should have results in an hour." "Good." Dante turned back to Sofia. "You and Marcus will stay here until then. Consider it protective custody." "That's kidnapping." "That's insurance." His voice softened slightly. "I'm not going to hurt you, Sofia, but I'm also not going to be careless. You stay here, comfortable, safe. We verify your story. If you're clean, and I suspect you are, you go home tonight with enough money to make this inconvenience worthwhile. And if we're not clean?" The question came out bitter. Then we have a different conversation. He didn't elaborate, didn't need to. Sofia sank onto the couch, pulling Marcus into her lap. He came willingly, curling against her, his pencil still clutched like a weapon. She felt his heart racing against her chest, felt the tension in his small body. "It's okay, baby," she whispered in Spanish, the language her own mother had used for comfort. "We're okay. Mama's got you." Dante watched them, something unreadable in his expression. Then he spoke to Luca. "Get them food, and find out what the boy needs. Sensory issues, dietary, restrictions, whatever makes him comfortable. Boss, do it." Steel beneath the quiet words. Luca nodded and disappeared into what Sofia assumed was the kitchen. Dante remained standing, maintaining distance, his phone in his hand, but his attention on them. "You said he doesn't speak," Dante said after a moment. "At all?" "Not verbally. He used to, a little, when he was younger. But it's been 3 years since we've heard his voice." Sofia's hand smoothed over Marcus's curls. "He communicates through drawing mostly, sometimes gestures. His therapist says he might speak again someday, or he might not. We take it day by day." "That must be difficult." The unexpected empathy in his voice surprised her. "We manage." "Just the two of you?" Sofia's jaw tightened. His father left when Marcus was diagnosed. Couldn't handle having a broken son. The bitterness in her voice was acid. "So yes, just us." Dante's expression darkened. "He abandoned you." "He abandoned Marcus. I was just collateral damage." "What's his name?" The question was casual, but something in Dante's tone made Sofia's instincts prickle. "Why?" "Curiosity." "Miguel Vega." "But he's not part of our lives. Hasn't been for 5 years." Dante made a small sound of acknowledgement and typed something into his phone. Sofia watched, wondering what he was noting, what databases he had access to, what kind of power allowed a man to run background checks in an hour. Luca returned with a tray. Sparkling water, fresh fruit, cheese, crackers. Expensive, simple, safe. He set it on the coffee table and stepped back. "The boy," Luca said to Sofia, his English heavily accented. "He needs anything specific? Food he won't eat? Things that bother him?" The consideration caught her off guard. He likes routine. Same foods usually. Peanut butter, apples, crackers. Nothing too strong smelling. And he needs space. He doesn't like being crowded." Luca nodded and disappeared again. Marcus had gone still in Sofia's arms, his eyes fixed on the fruit. After a moment, he reached out slowly, taking a strawberry. He examined it with intense focus, turning it in his fingers, studying the texture. Then he ate it with careful, deliberate bites. Sofia watched Dante watching Marcus, saw something shift in the Mafia boss's expression. Interest, maybe. Or recognition. "He sees things differently," Dante said quietly. "The world, I mean." "Yes. That must be lonely. Being so different." Sofia's throat tightened. "Sometimes. But he has me. And I have him. We're enough for each other." "Are you?" Dante's eyes met hers. "Enough, I mean. You work 3 jobs, barely make rent. Your son needs specialized care, therapy, programs that cost money you don't have. You're drowning, Sofia. Anyone can see it." The truth of it hit like a slap. "We're surviving. Surviving isn't living. It's all we have." "Maybe." Dante moved closer, settling into a chair across from them. Close enough to talk without raising his voice, far enough to not trigger Marcus's space issues. Or maybe there are other options. Options like staying prisoner in a penthouse until you decide we're not threats? His lips quirked, not quite a smile, but close. "You have a sharp tongue when you're scared. I like that. I'm not trying to amuse you. I know. That's why it's effective. He leaned back, somehow making the expensive suit look even more dangerous than protective. Tell me about his drawings. The other ones. You said he draws places you've never been? Sofia hesitated, then nodded. Sometimes. Once he drew this elaborate building. Architecture, windows, details. I'd never seen it before. Then 3 months later, we took a different bus route and passed it. He'd drawn it perfectly, from an angle we ended up seeing from the bus window. His therapist thinks he might have glimpsed it once from a distance. Maybe. And his brain stored it without me noticing. But you don't believe that. I don't know what I believe. Sofia's hand continued its soothing rhythm through Marcus's hair. I know my son sees the world differently. I know he processes things in ways I don't understand. And I know that sometimes his drawings seem impossible, but they're always accurate. Always. Dante was quiet, his dark eyes thoughtful. Has he ever drawn something before it happened? The question made Sofia's skin prickle. What do you mean? Precognition, seeing the future. You think my son is psychic? She heard the edge of hysteria in her voice. I think your son drew my face without ever seeing me. I'm exploring possibilities. Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression tightening. Luca, we have a problem. Luca appeared instantly. Dante showed him the phone, and Sofia watched the security chief's face go hard. When? Luca asked. 15 minutes ago. They're asking questions about a woman and a child seen entering the building. Sofia's stomach dropped. Who's asking questions? Dante's eyes met hers, and what she saw there made her blood run cold. People who shouldn't know you're here. People who definitely shouldn't know about your son. I don't understand. Someone's been watching this building. Watching me. Dante stood, his movements controlled but urgent. They saw you and Marcus enter, and now they're trying to find out who you are. But why would they care about us? Because you came to see me. Because in my world, that makes you connected to me. And anyone connected to me becomes a target. He turned to Luca. Lock down the building. No one in or out without my clearance. And get Marcus and Sofia to the safe room. Safe room? Sofia's voice pitched high. What's happening? Dante crossed to her, kneeling so they were eye level. His hand hovered near her face, not quite touching, asking permission. When she didn't pull away, his fingers gently cupped her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. Listen to me very carefully, Sofia. There are people who want me dead, who've been trying for months to find a weakness, a pressure point, something they can use against me. And today, those people saw a woman and a child enter my private residence during hours I'm never home. They're going to investigate. They're going to find out who you are. And when they do, they're going to assume you mean something to me. But I don't. It doesn't matter. The perception is enough. His thumb brushed her jaw, the gesture both tender and terrifying. Which means, as of right now, you and Marcus are in danger, not because of anything you did, but because you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I'm sorry for that. Truly. Sofia's world tilted. You're saying people are going to come after us? Because I cleaned your apartment? Because you were seen with me? Because you have a connection to me, however innocent? His eyes held hers. But here's what I'm also saying. I protect what's mine. And whether you like it or not, whether you choose it or not, you became mine the moment you walked through that door. We're not yours. You are now. No room for argument in his tone. Which means no one touches you. No one threatens you. No one so much as looks at you wrong without answering to me. Do you understand? Sofia wanted to argue, wanted to scream that this was insane, that she didn't want his protection or his possession or whatever twisted claim he was making. But Marcus was in her arms, and danger was circling, and this dangerous man was offering safety even if it came with chains. What do we do? She whispered. You trust me. Dante stood, pulling her up with him. You stay close. You follow Luca's instructions. And you let me handle the people who think you're a weakness they can exploit. His smile was sharp as a blade. I'm going to teach them a very painful lesson about the difference between weakness and what I choose to protect. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Luca reappeared with 2 more men, both armed, both moving with military precision. Safe rooms ready, boss. Perimeters locked down. Good. Dante turned back to Sofia and Marcus. Go with Luca. There's food, water, everything you need. You'll be safe there. Where will you be? Sofia hated how small her voice sounded. Dealing with our visitors? He touched her face one more time, the gesture possessive and oddly gentle. I'll come for you when it's done. I promise. Then he was gone, disappearing into an office with his phone already to his ear, his voice dropping into rapid Italian that sounded like orders for war. Luca gestured toward a hallway. This way, Miss Reyes. Sofia followed, Marcus heavy in her arms, her mind spinning. In the span of 3 hours, she'd gone from cleaning a penthouse to being claimed by a mafia boss, from trying to survive to being thrust into a world of danger she didn't understand. And somehow, impossibly, her 8-year-old son had drawn the face of the man who'd just declared them his to protect. The safe room was behind a hidden door in what looked like a library. Luca pressed his palm to a section of bookshelf, and it slid open, revealing a space about the size of Sofia's entire apartment. Reinforced walls, surveillance screens showing every angle of the building, supplies enough for days, and a bed with soft blankets. You'll be safe here, Luca said, his gruff voice surprisingly gentle. Boss will handle the Volkov crew. They won't get anywhere near you. The Volkov crew? Sofia's stomach churned. Russian bratva. They've been trying to muscle into boss's territory for months. Luca's expression was grim. They saw you enter. That was bad timing. What will Dante do? Luca's smile was cold. What he always does. Win. He left them alone, the bookshelf sliding shut with a soft click. Sofia stood in the center of the safe room, Marcus still in her arms, and tried to process the impossible situation they'd fallen into. Marcus stirred, pushing gently at her arms. She set him down, watching as he immediately went to the bed, climbing onto it with careful movements. He pulled his sketch pad from where it had somehow stayed tucked under his arm through everything, and opened it to a fresh page. Marcus, baby, maybe we should rest. But he was already drawing, his pencil moving with that same intense focus. Sofia sank onto the bed beside him, exhausted, terrified, overwhelmed. She watched his hand move across the paper, expecting another architectural detail or abstract pattern. Instead, Marcus drew a face, not Dante's this time. A woman, young, beautiful, with sharp features and calculating eyes, someone Sofia had never seen before. But as Marcus added details, a scar along the jawline, a specific shade of dark lipstick, earrings with some kind of symbol, Sofia felt dread settle in her stomach like lead. Who was this woman? And why was Marcus drawing her now, in this moment, when they were hiding from enemies in a mafia boss's safe room? Marcus finished the drawing and looked up at Sofia for the first time all day. His brown eyes, usually so distant and unfocused, locked onto hers with sudden, startling clarity. Then he did something he hadn't done in 3 years. He spoke. One word, barely a whisper, but unmistakable. Danger. Sofia's heart stopped. For 3 years, Marcus had been silent. 3 years of therapy, specialists, hope slowly dying with each passing month. And now, here, in a mafia boss's safe room, while danger circled outside, her son spoke. Marcus, her voice cracked. Baby, did you just... His eyes had already gone distant again, returning to that faraway place where he lived most of the time. But the drawing remained. The woman's face, rendered in perfect detail, with that single word written beneath it in Marcus's careful hand. Danger. Sofia's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. No signal. Of course not. The safe room was a fortress, which meant no communication in or out except through whatever system Dante controlled. She stood, searching the walls until she found what looked like an intercom panel. She pressed the button, praying someone would answer. Static, then Luca's voice. Miss Reyes, you okay? I need to speak to Dante, now. It's about Marcus. He drew something. Someone. And he spoke. A pause. Stay there. Boss is dealing with the Volkov situation, but I'll get him the message. The line went dead. Sofia returned to Marcus, who had already started a new drawing. This time, it was a building. Angular, modern, with specific architectural details that meant nothing to Sofia, but were clearly important to Marcus. He drew with frantic energy now, like something was chasing him, like the images had to get out of his head before they consumed him. 10 minutes felt like hours. Then the bookshelf slid open and Dante strode in, his jacket gone, his white shirt sleeves rolled up, and a cut above his left eye that was already bruising. Behind him, Luca hovered like a guardian shadow. You're hurt, Sofia said before she could stop herself. It's nothing. Dante's eyes swept over her, checking for injuries with an intensity that made her skin warm. Luca said Marcus spoke? One word. Look. She held up the drawing of the woman. He drew this, then looked at me and said, Danger. First word in 3 years, and it was a warning about someone I've never seen. Dante took the drawing, and Sofia watched the color drain from his face. Fuck. You know her? Yes? His voice was tight, controlled. Katya Volkova, daughter of Dmitry Volkov, head of the Russian Bratva trying to move into my territory. She's their negotiator. Smart, ruthless, and currently sitting in my lobby demanding to speak with me about the woman and child seen entering my building. Sofia's blood ran cold. She's here? Now? She was. My men are currently explaining that I don't take meetings with people who haven't been invited. Dante's eyes returned to the drawing, studying every detail. But the fact that your son drew her before meeting her, before knowing she was coming. He trailed off, his expression dark with thought. It's impossible, Luca said from the doorway. The boy couldn't have known she'd show up today. Impossible seems to be this boy's specialty. Dante crouched in front of Marcus, who was still drawing frantically. Marcus, can you hear me? No response. Marcus's pencil never stopped moving. What's he drawing now? Dante asked Sofia. She leaned closer, trying to make sense of the angular lines and shadows. A building, I think. Lots of windows. Modern architecture. I don't recognize it. Dante's jaw tightened. I do. That's the Volkov warehouse on the south side, their main operations center. He stood, pulling out his phone and taking a photo of the incomplete drawing. Luca, send this to Intel, have them compare it to our surveillance photos. Boss, you think the kid is... I don't know what the kid is. Dante's voice was sharp. But he drew my face without seeing me, drew Katya before she arrived, and is now drawing the Volkov stronghold with details we shouldn't have. Either he's the most incredible intelligence asset I've ever encountered, or... He stopped. Or what? Sofia demanded. Dante's eyes met hers, and what she saw there was a mixture of wonder and fear. Or your son sees things the rest of us can't. Past, present, future. Maybe all of it at once. That's insane. So is everything else about today. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the confined space. Sofia, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I don't even know you. I know. But your son does, apparently. Dante gestured to the first drawing, still lying on the bed. He drew my face before we met. That means something. I don't understand what yet, but it means something. Sofia's mind raced. Marcus had never shown precognitive abilities before, had never drawn anything that hadn't already existed in the world, but the timing, the accuracy, the impossible knowledge. "What do you want from us?" she whispered. "Right now? I want you safe while I figure out what the Volkovs know and what they want." Dante's hand rose to her face, cupping her cheek with surprising gentleness. "But after that, I want to understand your son's gift. And I want to make sure no one ever uses it to hurt either of you." Uses it? The implication hit her. You think people would try to weaponize Marcus? He's 8 years old. He's 8 years old with an ability that could be worth millions to the right people, or the wrong ones. Dante's thumb stroked her cheekbone. Intelligence gathering, predicting enemy movements, identifying threats before they materialize. Do you understand what that's worth in my world? In any world? Horror flooded through her. No, absolutely not. We're leaving. Right now. You can't. I'm not going to use him, Sofia. Dante's voice was firm but gentle. I'm going to protect him. From me, from the Volkovs, from anyone who might see him as a tool instead of a child. Why would you do that? Something shifted in his expression, vulnerability flickering beneath the dangerous exterior. Because I know what it's like to be seen as a weapon instead of a person. Because your son drew my face, and that has to mean something. And because... He stopped, seeming to choose his words carefully. Because when I look at you trying to protect him, I see something I thought didn't exist anymore, something pure. Before Sofia could respond, Marcus made a sound, a small, distressed noise that immediately had her attention. He'd stopped drawing, his whole body rigid, his breathing rapid and shallow. "Marcus, baby, what's wrong?" She knelt beside the bed, recognizing the signs of sensory overload. Too much stimulation, too much change, too much fear transmitted through her own panic. Marcus's hands flew to his ears, pressing hard, and his mouth opened in a silent scream. "He's overwhelmed," Sofia said quickly, falling into the routine she knew by heart. "Dante, I need..." Lights dimmed. "Luca, can you leave? Too many people. And I need something weighted. A blanket or..." "Here." Dante was already moving, pulling a heavy throw from a storage compartment and handing it to her. Then he was at the light controls, dimming them to a soft glow. He gestured to Luca, who immediately backed out of the room. Sofia wrapped the weighted blanket around Marcus, applying deep pressure to his shoulders and back. "It's okay, baby. You're safe. Mama's here. Count with me in your head, remember? 1, 2, 3. She continued the grounding technique, her voice low and rhythmic, while Marcus slowly relaxed under the weight and pressure. Dante stood back, watching with an expression of such focused attention that Sofia felt exposed, vulnerable. "This happens often?" he asked quietly. "When he's stressed or overstimulated, yes. Usually, I can prevent it by controlling his environment, keeping routines consistent. But today..." She laughed bitterly. "Today has been anything but routine. I'm sorry." The apology sounded genuine. "This is my fault. You and Marcus got caught in my world through no choice of your own. So let us leave." "I can't." Dante's voice was pained. "Not yet. The Volkovs saw you enter. They have your face on their surveillance. Probably have someone running your identity right now. If I let you walk out of here unprotected, they'll grab you within hours. Use you to get to me. But we don't mean anything to you. They don't know that." He moved closer, kneeling beside her. "And honestly, Sofia, I'm not sure I know that either anymore." She looked at him sharply. "We just met. You and I just met. But Marcus drew me weeks ago, didn't he? Before today, before you ever came to this penthouse. Sophia's breath caught. She thought about the drawings covering their apartment walls, dozens of faces and places. Had Dante's face been among them? She couldn't remember, couldn't be sure. I don't know, she admitted. I think you do. I think your son has been seeing me for a while, preparing for this moment. Dante's hand covered hers where it rested on Marcus's back. I think this meeting was inevitable. That's crazy. Maybe. Or maybe your son sees things we don't. Connections, futures, paths that haven't been walked yet. His dark eyes held hers. Maybe he knew I was going to need you. Or you were going to need me. The intimacy in his voice made Sophia's heart race for reasons that had nothing to do with fear. This man, this dangerous, powerful, criminal man, was looking at her like she was something precious. Like she and Marcus were mysteries he wanted to solve, treasures he wanted to keep. What happens now? She whispered. Now I deal with the Volkovs. Make it clear that you and Marcus are under my protection, that anyone who touches you answers to me personally. His jaw tightened. It won't be pretty, Sofia, but it will be effective. You're going to hurt people because of us. I'm going to hurt people who threatened what's mine. His thumb stroked over her knuckles. There's a difference. Marcus had calmed under the weighted blanket, his breathing evening out, his hands dropping from his ears. He looked small and fragile and impossibly vulnerable, and Sofia felt the weight of her choices pressing down like the blanket wrapped around her son. She could fight Dante, could demand to leave, could try to run, but where would they go? If the Russians were watching, if they knew her face, her name, where she lived, Marcus would never be safe. She would never be safe. Or she could trust this stranger who somehow didn't feel like a stranger. This man her son had drawn before meeting him. This dangerous protector who looked at Marcus with wonder instead of fear. Okay, she heard herself say, we stay, for now, until the threat is handled. Relief flickered across Dante's features. Thank you. But I have conditions. His eyebrows rose. You're negotiating with me? For my son's safety? Yes. Sofia lifted her chin. Marcus isn't a tool. He's not an asset. He's a little boy who needs routine, therapy, his special program. Whatever protection you're offering can't come at the cost of his well-being. Agreed. The easy acceptance surprised her. Just like that? Just like that. I'm not a monster, Sofia. Despite what you might think. Dante stood, offering his hand. I'll have my people get Marcus's therapy schedule, make sure he continues all his programs, and I'll make sure your apartment is secured while you're here. How long will we be here? A few days. Maybe a week. However long it takes to neutralize the Volkov threat and make it clear you're untouchable. His hand was still extended, waiting. Sofia looked at it, at the strong fingers that had probably done terrible things, that were offering safety and protection and something that felt dangerously close to caring. Then she placed her hand in his and let him pull her to her feet. The moment their palms touched, Marcus gasped. They both turned to find him sitting up, the blanket pooled around his waist, his eyes wide and focused on their joined hands. Then, with deliberate movements, he picked up his pencil and drew on a fresh page. Two hands clasped together. Hers, recognizable by the small scar on her thumb from a kitchen accident years ago. His, with Dante's distinctive signet ring. The drawing was simple but profound, and beneath it, Marcus wrote two words in his careful, precise handwriting: keep safe. Sofia's throat closed with emotion. Marcus. But Marcus was already lying back down, pulling the blanket over himself, retreating into whatever space in his mind felt safer than the chaotic world outside. Dante stared at the drawing, something raw and vulnerable crossing his face. He understands. He always understands more than people think. Sofia's voice was thick with tears. He just can't always communicate it. Until today. Until it mattered. Dante's fingers tightened around hers. Your son just gave us permission to protect each other. Or commanded us to. Same thing, I think, when it comes from him. Dante carefully released her hand, but the warmth of his touch lingered. Get some rest. Both of you. I'll have food sent in, and anything else you need. And Sofia? She looked up at him. I meant what I said. No one will hurt either of you while I'm breathing. That's a promise. Then he was gone, the bookshelf sliding shut behind him, leaving Sofia alone with her sleeping son and a drawing that felt like prophecy. 3 hours later, Sofia jerked awake to the sound of the bookshelf opening. She'd dozed off beside Marcus, exhaustion finally overwhelming fear. But now Dante stood in the doorway, and the expression on his face made her stomach drop. What happened? Katya Volkova is dead. His voice was flat, emotionless. Shot 3 times in the back of the head in the parking garage of a building 2 miles from here, along with 4 of her bodyguards. Sofia's hand flew to her mouth. You. Wasn't me. Dante crossed to her, his movements controlled but urgent. I was going to meet with her, make it clear you were off limits. But someone beat me to it. Someone killed her before I could make that deal. Who? That's what I need to figure out. He held up his phone, showing her a photo from a crime scene. Sofia looked away quickly, but not before seeing the body, the blood, the violence. Why are you showing me this? Because of this. He swiped to a different image. A piece of paper found in Katya's hand. A drawing. Crude. Not like Marcus's detailed work, but recognizable enough. A sketch of Sofia's face. Her blood ran cold. I don't understand. Someone drew your face and gave it to Katya. Someone who knew she was coming here to ask about you. Someone who wanted her dead before she could make contact. Dante's jaw was tight with controlled fury. Someone is playing a game, and you and Marcus are pieces on the board. But who? Why? I don't know yet. But I'm going to find out. He knelt in front of her, his hands framing her face with desperate intensity. Sofia, I need you to think. Has anyone been watching you? Following you? Asking questions about Marcus's drawings? She shook her head. No. No one. We keep to ourselves. I work. I take care of Marcus. That's it. What about Marcus's father? Miguel. Could he be involved? Miguel hasn't contacted us in 5 years. He wanted nothing to do with Marcus after the diagnosis. People change. Money, power, revenge. They can make people do things they never thought they'd do. Dante's thumb stroked her cheeks. I'm having him investigated, along with everyone you've had contact with in the past 6 months. This is insane. We're nobody. We don't have enemies. You do now, because someone wanted Katya dead, and they used your face to do it. His eyes burned into hers, which means someone knows about Marcus's abilities, someone who's willing to kill to keep them secret or to possess them. The implication hit her like a physical blow. You think someone wants Marcus? For his gift? I think someone is very interested in what your son can do, and they're willing to eliminate anyone who gets too close to finding out. Dante pulled her against his chest, one hand cradling her head, the other wrapped around her waist. But they're not going to get him. I won't let them. Sofia should pull away, should maintain distance from this man who represented everything dangerous in the world. But his arms felt safe, solid, real, and she was so tired of being alone, of being scared, of fighting every battle by herself. Why do you care? She whispered against his shirt. You don't know us. I don't know why I care, but I do. His lips pressed against her hair. From the moment I saw Marcus's drawing of my face, something shifted. like I was supposed to be here, supposed to find you both, supposed to. He stopped. Supposed to what? Protect you, keep you, make sure nothing in this world ever hurts you again. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it felt like coming home to a place she'd never been, to arms that were meant to hold her, to a man who looked at her broken family and saw something worth saving. Dante, don't. His hand tightened in her hair. Don't tell me this is crazy or wrong or too fast. I know all of that. But I also know that your son drew my face before meeting me, that he brought you here today, that he's given us permission to protect each other. I don't believe in fate, Sofia, but I believe in Marcus, and he's telling us something important. Before she could respond, Marcus stirred. They both turned to find him sitting up, reaching for his sketchpad again. But this time, his hands were shaking, his breathing rapid, his eyes wide with something that looked like terror. Marcus, baby, what's wrong? Sofia moved to him instantly, but Dante was right behind her. Marcus drew with frantic energy, his pencil tearing into the paper. An image emerged that made Sofia's blood freeze. A man. Not detailed like his other drawings, but clear enough. Dark hair, cold eyes, a cruel mouth twisted in a smile. And in his hands, he held something small, a child-sized figure that could only be Marcus. Beneath the drawing, Marcus wrote 3 words that stopped Sofia's heart. He's coming soon. Dante went utterly still beside her. Then he was moving, pulling out his phone, barking orders in Italian. Full lockdown, every entrance, every exit, double the guards, no one in or out without my personal clearance, and get me everything on Miguel Vega. Everything. Now. He ended the call and turned back to Sofia, his expression carved from stone. Pack whatever you and Marcus need for a few days. You're not staying in the safe room anymore. Where are we going? My bedroom. Where I can protect you personally. His hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone. Someone's coming for Marcus. Your son can see it, feel it, knows it's inevitable. But what they don't know is that they'll have to go through me first. His eyes burned with deadly promise. And no one goes through me and lives to talk about it. Outside the penthouse, somewhere in Chicago's maze of streets and shadows, someone was planning, watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. Someone who knew about Marcus's gift, who understood its value, who was willing to kill anyone who stood in their way. But inside the fortress, surrounded by armed guards and a mafia boss who'd just claimed them as his to protect, Sofia held her son close and made a choice. She would trust Dante Caruso, this dangerous, powerful, violent man who looked at Marcus with wonder, and at her with hunger, and promised safety with blood on his hands. Because sometimes, the only way to survive monsters was to find a bigger monster who was willing to fight on your side. And as Dante lifted Marcus into his arms with surprising gentleness, carrying him toward the master bedroom while murmuring soft reassurances in Italian, Sofia realized something terrifying and true. She was falling for him, for this mafia boss who'd entered her life through impossible circumstances, for this killer who held her autistic son like he was made of glass, for this criminal who promised protection with the same intensity most men promised love. And God help her, she thought he might be falling too. Marcus's drawing fluttered to the floor, forgotten in the rush to move. The image of the man coming for them stared up at empty air, a warning, a prophecy, a promise of violence yet to come. But it also showed something else, if you looked closely enough. In the corner, barely sketched but unmistakable, was another figure. Tall, strong, standing between the threat and Marcus, Dante, drawn in protective stance, a guardian rendered in graphite and hope. Marcus had seen the danger coming, but he'd also seen their protector. And that Sofia thought as Dante's arms wrapped around her in his bedroom, pulling her close while Marcus settled in the center of the massive bed. That was worth believing in. Even if it meant trusting a monster to fight other monsters. Even if it meant letting herself need someone for the first time in 5 years. Even if it meant falling in love in the most dangerous circumstances imaginable. Some loves were worth the risk. And as Dante's lips found hers in the darkness, soft and claiming and desperate, Sofia surrendered to the terrifying truth. This love might kill her. But it might also save them all. 2 days later, the truth came from the last person Sofia expected. She woke to find Marcus already awake, drawing in the pre-dawn light filtering through Dante's bedroom windows. Dante was gone. He'd been conducting his investigation through the night, searching for whoever had killed Katya and threatened Marcus. Sofia moved to her son's side. The drawing made her breath catch. Miguel, Marcus's father, rendered in perfect detail after 5 years of absence. But he wasn't alone. Beside him stood another man, older, with sharp features and calculating eyes. Between them, a briefcase with symbols that meant nothing to Sofia, but clearly meant something to Marcus. "Baby, who is this?" She pointed to the older man. Marcus didn't answer, just kept drawing, adding details. A scar, a ring, a tattoo on the older man's neck that looked like Cyrillic letters. The bedroom door opened. Dante entered with Luca, both men looking exhausted. But when Dante saw the drawing, his expression went dark. "That's Dmitry Volkov, Katya's father." He crossed to them in 3 strides. "And that's Miguel Vega with him." Sofia's world tilted. "That's impossible. Miguel doesn't know people like that. He's a mechanic. He's $200,000 in debt to the Volkovs." Luca held up a tablet showing financial records. "Has been for 3 years. They've been using him as an asset, gathering information on people they want to pressure." "But he doesn't know anything about us," Sofia protested. "He knows about Marcus." Dante's voice was gentle but firm. "He's Marcus's father on record, which means he could petition for custody, get access, use Marcus's gift to pay off his debt." The horror of it crashed over her. He abandoned us. He wanted nothing to do with... until someone showed him what Marcus could be worth. Dante knelt before her. "The Volkovs found out about Miguel's connection to you. They investigated, discovered Marcus's abilities through Miguel's old photos and videos. They killed Katya because she was going to make a deal with me that would protect you. They want Marcus for themselves." "How did they even know about his gift?" "Miguel must have mentioned it. Bragged, maybe, about his weird kid who could draw anything perfectly. The Volkovs put the pieces together." Dante's hands framed her face. "They're planning to use Miguel's parental rights to take Marcus legally, make it look legitimate so I can't intervene without starting a war." Sofia's hands shook. "When?" "Today. According to our intelligence, Miguel's filing emergency custody papers this morning. Claims you're unstable, can't care for Marcus properly." Dante's jaw tightened. "He'll get a hearing, probably supervised visitation first, but eventually, they'll take him." Sofia's voice broke. "They'll take my baby and use him and..." "No." Dante's voice was steel. "They won't. Because you're going to marry me." Sofia's mind went blank. "What?" "Marry me. Today. Right now." Dante pulled a small box from his pocket. He'd clearly been planning this. "If you're my wife, Marcus becomes my stepson. I have legal standing to fight Miguel's petition. I have resources Miguel could never match. And most importantly, you both become part of my family, which means the Volkovs can't touch you without declaring war on the Bellini organization." "You're insane." "Probably." His smile was crooked, vulnerable. "But I'm also right. This protects you both legally and practically. Miguel can't compete with my lawyers. The Volkovs won't risk open conflict over one child when they know I'll burn their entire operation down. You're asking me to marry you to solve a legal problem?" "No." Dante's thumb stroked her cheek. I'm asking you to marry me because your son drew my face before meeting me, because he knew we needed each other, because in 2 days, you and Marcus have become the most important things in my world and I can't lose you. Not to Miguel, not to the Volkovs, not to anyone. His eyes burned into hers. I'm asking because I'm falling in love with you, Sofia. With your strength, your devotion to Marcus, the way you see me as a man instead of a monster. I'm asking because I want to protect you both for the rest of my life, not just until this threat passes. Sofia's heart hammered. We barely know each other. I know enough. I know you take your coffee with too much sugar, that you sing in Spanish when you think no one's listening, that you'd die before letting anyone hurt Marcus, that you're the first person in 10 years to look at me and see something worth saving. He opened the box, revealing a simple platinum band with a single diamond. Marry me, Sofia. Choose safety. Choose protection. Choose me. Sofia looked at Marcus, who had stopped drawing and was watching them with those knowing eyes. Then she looked at Dante, this dangerous, powerful man who'd crashed into her life and somehow become essential. Okay, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. 4 hours later, Sofia stood in Dante's study wearing a simple cream dress Luca had somehow procured, Marcus beside her in his favorite soft clothes, and Dante in a dark suit that made him look like sin and salvation. A judge, clearly on Dante's payroll, performed a quick ceremony. When Dante slipped the ring onto her finger, his eyes held promises of protection and possession, and something that looked dangerously like love. You may kiss your bride. Dante's kiss was claiming and tender, public and intimate. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. Mine now, he whispered. Both of you. Forever. Before Sofia could respond, Luca burst in. Boss, Miguel's here. With Volkov's lawyers and 2 cops. They have a court order for supervised visitation. Dante's expression went cold. Show them in. Minutes later, Miguel Vega stood in the study, older, harder than Sofia remembered, desperation and greed warring in his eyes. Beside him, an expensive lawyer and 2 uncomfortable-looking police officers. Sofia? Miguel's voice was false sweetness. I'm here for my son. I have rights. Had rights. Dante stepped forward, positioning himself between Miguel and Marcus. Past tense. As of 20 minutes ago, Sofia is my wife, Marcus is my stepson, and you, Miguel, are trespassing in my home. Miguel's face went pale. You can't. I can, and I have. Dante nodded to Luca, who handed the lawyer a folder. That's a copy of our marriage license, along with documentation of your debt to the Volkov organization, your attempts to sell information about Marcus's abilities, and your conspiracy to kidnap a minor for purposes of exploitation. The lawyer's face went white as he read. You have 2 choices, Dante continued, his voice deadly calm. You can withdraw your custody petition, sign away all parental rights, and disappear. The Volkov's debt gets paid by me, and you walk away alive. Or you can fight me in court, where all of this becomes public record, where the Volkovs discover you've been caught, and where you'll be very lucky to survive the week. Miguel looked at Marcus, at Sofia, at the life he'd abandoned, now protected by someone far more dangerous than he could ever be. I need time to think. You have 10 seconds. Dante's smile was sharp as a blade. 9, 8. Fine, Miguel's voice cracked. Fine, I'll sign. Just the debt. You'll really pay it? I'll pay it. And in return, you disappear. Change cities. Never contact Sofia or Marcus again. Break that agreement, and there's nowhere on earth you can hide from me. Miguel signed the papers with shaking hands, then fled without looking back at the son he'd tried to sell. When the room cleared, Sofia collapsed into a chair. Is it over? The Miguel threat, yes. The Volkovs. Dante's expression darkened. That requires a different solution, Meaning? Meaning I'm meeting with Dmitry Volkov tonight, making it clear that any attempt to acquire Marcus will result in the complete destruction of his organization. Dante knelt before her. It will get violent, Sofia. That's who I am. But it will end the threat permanently. Sofia looked at this man, her husband now, impossibly, who was promising murder to keep her son safe. She should be horrified, should condemn the violence. Instead, she cupped his face and kissed him. Come back to me. To us. His smile was beautiful and terrible. Always. That night, Sofia woke to Dante sliding into bed beside her, smelling like gunpowder and expensive cologne. She didn't ask what happened. Didn't need to. It's done? She whispered. It's done. Dmitry Volkov has agreed to a truce. Marcus is off limits. Forever. He pulled her close. You're both safe now. Sofia turned in his arms, studying his face in the darkness. Why did you really do all this? The truth. Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then, because Marcus drew my face. Because somehow, your 8-year-old son knew I was supposed to find you both. Protect you both. Love you both. His hand found hers, threading their fingers together. I don't believe in fate, Sofia. But I believe in Marcus. And he chose me to keep you safe. Tears burned Sofia's eyes. I'm falling in love with you. I know it's crazy. It's not crazy. It's inevitable. He kissed her softly. We were always going to find each other. Marcus just made sure it happened sooner. On the other side of the bed, Marcus stirred. Both turned to find him awake, watching them with those knowing eyes. Then he did something extraordinary. He smiled. A real, genuine smile that lit up his whole face, and he placed his small hand over their joined ones, connecting them, completing them. Family, Marcus whispered. His second word in 5 years, the most important word. Yes, baby, Sofia breathed. Family. Dante's arms wrapped around them both, protective and possessive and infinitely gentle. My family, always. 6 months later, Sofia stood in the penthouse, their home now, watching Marcus draw at his special desk Dante had built. The boy had started speaking more, short sentences mostly, always profound. His gift had become something they protected fiercely, used only when Marcus wanted, never forced. Dante emerged from his office, immediately crossing to her, his arms wrapping around her waist from behind. What are you thinking about? How impossible this all is. How I came here to clean your apartment and ended up. She turned in his arms. Here. With you. Married to a mafia boss who loves my son and somehow loves me. Not somehow. Inevitably. He kissed her temple. Marcus knew. He always knew. They both looked at their son, who had stopped drawing and was holding up his latest sketch. Sofia's breath caught. It was the three of them. Dante, Sofia, and Marcus, standing together. But between them, barely sketched, was a fourth figure, small, delicate, a baby. Marcus? Sofia's voice shook. Her son smiled, touched Sofia's stomach with one gentle finger, then returned to his drawing. Dante's hand moved to her belly, his eyes wide. Are you... I don't know. Maybe. Sofia's hand covered his. But if Marcus drew it, then it's true, or it will be. Dante turned her to face him fully, his expression awestruck. A baby, our baby. Are you happy? Sofia searched his face. I know this is fast. I'm terrified and overjoyed and so in love with you I can barely breathe. He kissed her deeply. Yes, Sofia, I'm happy. Impossibly, completely happy. From his desk, Marcus made a satisfied sound, like everything was finally as it should be. Like the future he'd been drawing toward had arrived. And as Dante held Sofia close while their son drew their growing family in perfect detail, she understood the truth Marcus had known all along. Some loves were written in the stars. Some families were chosen by fate. And some 8-year-old boys could see the future and draw it into being, one impossible sketch at a time. They were his greatest masterpiece, and they always would be. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.